Good day, everyone. You are welcome to EdTrack Academy, and I welcome you to another section of where we are going to be solving past questions of WAEC and JAMB based on our topics. And the topics we are going to be taking a look at today is the WAEC and JAMB geometry and trigonometry past question. We are going to be taking a look at sample WAEC questions and JAMB on geometry, and we are going to be solving it together. Without wasting much of our time, let's dive in to the questions. The first example we are going to be taking a look at, before we take a look at that first example, I want us to take a look at what will be the learning outcome after you have watched this video. By the end of this 2 days video, you should be able to solve related geometry and trigonometry past questions of WAEC and JAMB. That is, after you have watched the video and the examples that we solved in this video, you should be able to solve any related questions about this. Now, the first question we are going to be taking a look at is a WAEC question that was picked from 1999 objective question number 27, where the question says, if tan x is 1 over root 3, find cos x minus sin x such that 0 degree less than equals to x less than or equals to 90. The first thing that will come to your mind whenever you are given this is that since you are given this tan in a form of a short form, then what should come to your mind is the what? Is the right angle triangle, because right angle triangle is the only one that can help you to get your tan or your sine in short form. So the first thing you need to do is write out your what? Write out your right angle triangle. And after you have written a right angle triangle, note an angle x, an angle x. Now, if you remember your SOHCAHTOA, if you could remember SOHCAHTOA, TOA means, TOA actually means what? For the chan. And in this TOA, we have opposites over hypotenuse. Opposite over what? I put over adjacent. Sorry for that. So now, after you know the meaning of TOA, then it remains, how do I put this TOA into this shape? And if you remember, any place where this angle is facing is called the opposite, which means the opposite of this angle is the what? Is the value 1 from the what we are given. And also the adjacent is the other part apart from the longest part, because we know that the longest part of the shape is what? Is the hypotenuse. So the adjacent part is now what? Root 3. Now, for us to get the what? The sign, which is that is opposite over hypotenuse, and also for us to get the cos, which is ka, that is adjacent over hypotenuse, then we need to find something that is lost, and that is our hypotenuse. Now, how do we find this hypotenuse? You find hypotenuse using your Pythagoras theorem that says what? Hypotenuse square equals to opposite square plus adjacent square, which means if I represent my hypotenuse with letter y, then I will have y square equals to 1 square plus what? Plus root 3 square. Root 3 square. Now, after having this, when you solve this, you will see that y square will be equals to 1 plus 3, because square root and what? And root and the square, they are more like they cancel each other. So we have 3, and that is 4. Then when you find this what? The square root of both sides, in order for you to have what? Y square, you will see that the value of your y will be 2. I want you to solve this thing and make sure that you are following the process. So from here, I will know that my y equals to 2, because I have 4 here, and if I find the square root of this and the square root of this 4, I will have 2. Then, which means I know that the hypotenuse is now 2, no more y. Now, moving on, since I know that my hypotenuse is now 2, how do I calculate my what? How do I calculate my what? My sine and my cos. How do I calculate my sine and what? And my cos. Sorry for that. Don't know why this thing is moving. Okay. Now, since I know the sine of x, sine x, that is the first thing I need to calculate. Sine x. is equals to what? Opposite. That is 1 over what? The hypotenuse. That is 1 over 2. That is what? 1 over 2. So, coming. So let's write our sign. Sine equals to sine x equals to 1 over 2. Since we know that is what? It is opposite over hypotenuse. Also, the cos x will be equals to what? What is cos? That is the what? The adjacent over hypotenuse, and that is root 3 over 2. Then I have root 3 over 2. Now, I have gotten my sine and I've now gotten my cos. The next thing to do is what? Is now simplify it the way I was asked to do it. That is cos x minus sine x, and that will be root 3 over 2, which is cos x, minus what? 1 over 2. And if you solve this correctly, it should be, since they are what? More or less like a like fraction, it will be root 3 minus 1 all over 2. Now, and if you check this answer, what is the correct answer? That is option 6, because it says root 3 minus 1 over 2. And that gives us the correct answer. I hope you are following these steps. If yes, let's move to the next example. The next example is also a WAEC question gotten from the recent WAEC, and that is WAEC 2021. And but this is almost the same thing as what we just solved earlier, as we are given time and we are asked to find the cos. Like I said, whenever you see a fraction or a short form, just know that you are using what? The right angle triangle. Now, as we know, tan means twa. That is the opposite. Let's give an angle theta here. If the angle is here, actually your angle can be here also, be it on the choice you want. But you must make sure that wherever your angle is facing is the opposite. So since my angle is facing on this side, then this side will be 3, because I know this is opposite over adjacent. Then my adjacent is 4. Now, let me give a small work. Can you help me to calculate this hypotenuse? If you have done so, that will be y square. I'm using y to represent the hypotenuse now, will be equals to 3 square plus 4 square. And if you add 3 square plus 4 square, and that will be what? That will be 25. Because that will be y square equals to what? What is 3 square? 9. What is 4 square? 16. So when you add the two together, you get 25. Finding the square root of 25, you will see that your hypotenuse is 5. That is how we always what? We always get that. So now, after you have gotten your hypotenuse, then what you have to find is simple. You have to find cos theta. Then cos theta says that is adjacent over hypotenuse. Then what is cat? What is adjacent over hypotenuse? That is the cat is 4 over hypotenuse. That is 4 over 5. And that will be the option A. I hope you are getting me right. If so, let's move on. The next example we are going to be looking at, it's somehow a technical example from JAMB. That's my wonderful UTME. We are given 2 points P minus 6 comma y and Q 6 comma 6 at the two ends of the diameter of a given cycle. We are asked to calculate what? The radius. Now, if you remember, how do we calculate the diameter of what? Of when we have 2 points? If you remember from the what? The straight line angle, the angle of a point, how do we calculate the equation of a line? If you remember, if you have for you to calculate the slope, it is e square. Now I'm not interpreting this one as what? As the diameter, because that straight line is not the diameter. So I'm trying to use the equation of the straight line where we're using calculating the midpoint to calculate our diameter, since it's a straight line, and that will be d square, where will be what? Y2 minus y1 all square, then plus x square, sorry, x2 minus x1 all square. Now, If they ask you what is y1, what is y2 in this equation, this is my x1, this is my y2, y1, this is my x2, this is my y2. Now, let's bring them in together. What is my y2? 6 minus, what is my y1? That is 1. That is 1 all square. Then plus, what is my x2? 6. So that will be 6 minus, what is my x1? Minus 6. That will be minus 6. So all square. Now, 6 minus 1 is 5, and that is 5 square. I hope you're following. Then plus 6 minus minus 6 means 6 plus 6, and that is 12, and that is 12 square. Now, what is 5 square? And that is 5 times 5, which is 25. Then what is my 12 square? And that is 12 times 12, which is 144. 144. Then don't forget that D is square, so you should be writing them. Then this square will now be, when you add these two together, that will be 169. 169. I hope you get that addition right. Then, how do I find my D? You find your D, you will see that D is now the square root of both sides, and that will be 13. Now, I haven't got my both what my diameter to be 13 units. Then if I may ask you, how do we calculate the radius of what of a cycle if you are given diameter? The radius is actually when you are given diameter, because diameter is the double of radius, that is 2 radius, that is what gives a diameter. Then radius will now be diameter divided by 2. Then from the unit we got earlier, 13, will now be 13 divided by 2. 13 divided by 2. Then when you divide 13 by 2, you will see R, that is the radius, will now be 6.5 units. 6.5 units. So this is what out. This is how to calculate the radius or the diameter of what of a cycle when you are given 2 points at the end. Now, moving on to the last question we are going to be solving today, and the question is also a question from JAMB. JAMB 2009, question 27. And this is actually a straightforward question, but you must be very careful when you are solving. The question says, if the hypotenuse of a right-angled isosceles triangle, now I want you to take note, that is a right angle and it is also an isosceles triangle, is 2 centimeters. What is the area? Now we have to calculate the area, but we can see that all what we need in this is not complete. Now let's assume we draw a right angle triangle. Now, and the way we need to draw it is that what the two sides must be the same. So let's make each one of the two sides to be the same. So let's make this side and this side the same. So this side is the same thing as this side. Now, and since the side is a right angle isosceles, which means we have angle 90, and the remaining angle will be what? Will be 45, because the remaining 90 divided by 2, because it's an isosceles. Now, and we are given this space to be 2. Now, since we know that it is 2, what is the next thing we need to find? We need to find this space. Let's represent this I side opposite over as x, and which will represent the what? The adjacent by y. So we know that the angle here is 45. I think so, right? Now, for us to calculate any of this, since we have only one side, we can't use our SOHCAHTOA, that is the sine, cosine, opposite, and others. Then what we need to do is what? Find the SOHCAHTOA of x. That is the one that needs an hypotenuse. So means the sine of 45 degree will be equals to what? Will be equals to what is sine 45 of what? That is so. Opposite, that is x over 2. X over what? Over 2. Then, how do I find my x? By cross multiplying, and that is the x will be 2 times sine 45. 2 sine 45. Then if I may ask you, in short form, what is sine 45? If you get that correctly by guessing or checking, sine 45 is 1 over root 2. What did I say? 1 over root 2. So which means I have 2 times 1 over root 2. Now, when you get this 1 over root 2, means your answer for x is 2 over root 2. And if you remember, we can't leave this like this. We have what? We have to, we have to what? What do we have to do to it? We have to what? Simplify it. That is, we have to rationalize. So how do we rationalize? By multiplying with what? With what we have in the denominator, and that is root 2 over root 2. So if you solve this, you have 2 root 2. I hope you are following the steps. Over root 2 square. And like I said, square and root, they are like an enemy. So they take each other out. Then what I will have left is what? 2 root 2 all over 2. Then my 2 can take out by 2, which means the value of my x now is 2 centimeter. Root 2 centimeter. Now, I hope you are following. If you got that right, now we have calculated the side. And don't forget the side, if we have an isosceles triangle, which means if this side is root 2, the second side is also root 2. Now, we have done the first part. What is now the second part? The second part says, what is the area of the triangle? And remember, what the area of the triangle is half of base times height. And from this question that we just solved now, we know that what the base is root 2. The base is root 2, while the height is also root 2. Root 2. Now, if you solve this correctly, your answer will be 1. How do I get 1? Don't forget, root 2 and root 2 is what? They give us what we call 2, because the root we take out each other. Or, in a simple way, multiply what we have inside and find the square root. 2 times 2, 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Then this 2, we take out this 2. Remain 1. Which in the area of that rectangle of triangle is 1 centimeter square, which is this answer. Now, I hope you got this very well. Now, I want you to dive into your series, the past question, and start solving any related questions on this geometry and trigonometry. Thank you very much for paying attention. Don't forget to subscribe for more solution videos. See you next time.